nearly 24 homeless encampments torn apart and cleared across Tulsa.
If the city refuses to do their job, then we will be forced to pursue extraordinary measures to do it for them.
Hundreds of thousands of pounds of clothes, tents, and sleeping bags now sitting in dumpsters and landfills as part of Governor Kevin Stitt's Operation Safe.
You've got people saying, well, Governor, you're not being compassionate. And leaving people on the street to do drugs is not compassionate.
With the governor giving homeless Tulsans these options: shelter, treatment, or jail.
But here's the truth. You can never build enough housing for homeless. If you build 300 houses today, guess what? 300 more will come.
As the debate continues, the question this week: is there a path forward that works for everyone involved?
Stories beyond the headlines, connected to our state. Oklahoma Chronicle with Evan Onstad.
Homelessness and what to do about it is a topic that never really goes away, but the debate will flare up brightly from time to time. And we saw that happen this past week in Oklahoma after Governor Kevin Stitt took action against homeless camps in Tulsa, an action that was both praised and criticized. And we have a really fantastic panel to talk about it today. People with very different opinions here. State Senator Lisa Standridge, who has made the issue of homelessness a focus of legislation and who quickly asked the governor to bring Operation Safe to Norman. Thank you so much for being here. Also with us today, Megan Mueller, the president and CEO of the Homeless Alliance in Oklahoma City. Thank you so much for being here as well, Megan. As well as the editor of the Journal Record, Heather Warlick, Heather, who's spent years reporting on the issues of housing and homelessness. Appreciate you being here and your expertise joining us.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you all for being here. Senator, I wanted to start the conversation with you because you asked the governor to bring Operation Safe to the Norman area. Is that request based on something that you are hearing from the people that you represent?
Absolutely. I've received a lot of calls, emails, letters asking me to ask Governor Stitt to bring it to Norman just because of the hardships that our business owners are having, our taxpayers, our residents. They're not feeling safe in downtown Norman. Unfortunately, there is a criminal element in the community in Norman that I believe is kind of shielding themselves in the homeless community. And it is, it's making it hard to do business, and it's making it hard for residents to feel safe. For instance, there was a nice little restaurant that some friends of mine would go to, a mother and daughter, once a month to catch up. And it was in downtown Norman. On their way out, the elderly mother was panhandled to such an extent. He got between the car door and her. She couldn't get in her car until she gave him, some money. They told me, you know what, we are never going to go back to downtown Norman, and they didn't. And I don't think that's the only person that that's happened to, because that restaurant subsequently had to close down. I have numerous accounts from kind of worlds colliding, and you see the people that are struggling with addiction and causing the crime, and your heart goes out to them. But I think for far too long we've gone without holding those accountable. So I do hope that Governor Stitt brings that program to Norman.
Well, Megan, let me move to you here, because what she's saying right now, listening to business owners, listening to people who want to go to certain areas, feeling unsafe, feeling like perhaps people who are loitering, who are panhandling in front of their place of business is hurting their business. Mm-hmm. They don't seem like unreasonable things, unreasonable complaints for people to make. And so for you, as the president of the Homeless Alliance, who are really championing for how many years have you done this? Many, I believe.
21 years.
21 years. What is your response to that sort of statement, and also the response to what we're seeing this week with this Operation Safe?
Well, I think on a lot of levels we can empathize with those business owners. We empathize with the neighbors who are feeling unsafe. I think what's important to remember again is that people experiencing homelessness are people. They're people who are having a hard time, and they're also our neighbors and our fellow Oklahomans. I think what we're really advocating for, and part of the reason that we are not in favor of Operation Safe, is that moving a problem is not the same as solving a problem. If you're moving someone from one area to another, all you've done is move them, right? We haven't actually provided any real solution. Senator Sandridge is correct. There are people who struggle with mental health, with substance use, though it's not the majority of people who are living outside. But there is a subset of folks for whom those are challenges. I think part of the challenge with Operation Safe is this option between treatment or jail. The treatment options simply don't exist in our state. We just had over $40 million in cuts to substance use and mental health programming in our communities. That's going to impact the way that we're able to provide services to
So
folks.
you're saying it's a false choice is what you're saying
it's
there.
an impossible choice.
Well, and Heather, let me bring you in here because we just heard on Thursday, OHP held a news conference in Tulsa talking about the Operation Safe there, and they said that they had, to this point, no one was arrested as of Thursday, and only one person had accepted the offer of resources. And so I was sitting there thinking, well, wait, whatever happened to that choice? Either you go to jail or you get help. It's not happening to anybody either way. So the question is, when something like this happens, what is happening to these people, these homeless people whose camps are being cleared, and they're just, I guess, being asked to move on?
Right, that's a great question. So yeah, people often relocate when they're experiencing homelessness because they have to. In Oklahoma City, I've heard that people who are, sleeping under bridges, for example, downtown, they'll clear out one area under a bridge, and so folks will have to just move to a different area. Now, I think it's important to also consider the fact that for the Key to Home Coalition in Oklahoma City has done a really great job of clearing encampments and using a rapid rehousing approach with wraparound services, and they've been able to serve, I believe, nearly 400 people.
It's 444 people.
So that's huge, and that compared to the number of people experiencing homelessness, that shows that they're actually finding homes for somewhere near 20% of people experiencing homelessness, if you look at it as, comparisons. So that approach is, it's actually treating the symptoms of the problem with the wraparound services and also treating the actual problem with the rapid rehousing. And I think that can be a much better use of manpower.
It is interesting, Senator, because when you look at this, and right or wrong, whether you agree with it or not, this does look to me, this Operation Safe, like it's less about fixing the problem of homelessness than really just making it somebody else's problem or moving it someplace else. Or I'm sick of looking at this problem, and so it's time to make it somebody else's problem here. Am I wrong when I say that?
I think, it's not a solution. Basically, and it's not, is it perfect? No, but it's a good first start. It's a good conversation that we need to have. We have wonderful people doing wonderful work, but we have to put the safety of people first. And we've seen what's happened in Oregon and California. We don't want to bring that here, and we don't want to encourage that.
Well, in fact, even the governor said, eventually, he said it to us, that eventually they're all just going to, the thought is maybe they move on to San Francisco or Los Angeles or Portland. That's what the governor said. I don't know if that's realistic in any way.
I don't either, but this is a place to start. This is the state standing up for the safety of the taxpayers, and that is a function of government, and we have to do that. Safety we must put first and foremost.
Heather, I know you want to jump in, and let me ask you this question along with it. What, in your reporting over the years, do you find to be, over and over again, the biggest obstacle to a consensus being found where we can do all of these things at the same time? What keeps getting in the way?
So, for example, one gentleman I spoke to, I asked him, what will you do if, they enact the, prohibiting you sleeping on public property? And he said, I will sleep on private property. So we're relocating the problem. But in addition to that, to ban smaller cities from creating homeless shelters and other services is pushing people out of that community, making the problem of that community or the situation of these people the issue for another community. And we know that Oklahoma City has about 1,131 shelter beds. That's during the winter when the Homeless Alliance opens up 300 additional beds.
Okay.
So we also know that in 2025, the point in time count found that there were 1,882 people experiencing homelessness. So you can see the discrepancy in how many shelter beds versus how many
650, 700,
700.
so
700.
if people don't have a place to sleep, then sleep is a biological function that all humans do for approximately a third of our lives. So if
I should do it more.
So are we criminalizing sleep? Because that is, it's a symptom of life. So, this is the argument that was brought up in Grants Pass, and, the Constitution says that you can't criminalize people for their situation, for their status, their circumstance.
But the Supreme Court has ruled that you can, in fact, criminalize.
And the Supreme
that
Court
you can
make
uphold
mistakes.
All right, and clearly you think so in this case, but also at the same time, what the senator's saying, and because I think a lot of people are watching right now who have, a compassionate heart for these issues and want to see people help, but they're also people, and they can feel uncomfortable when they're displayed. I've been in that situation in which a panhandling situation has been uncomfortable for me, and I don't feel bad saying that because I don't feel like I'm alone in that. And so what I would love to find, and we're not going to solve it here, but I would love to see that there be some sort of pathway forward in which we can achieve all these goals together, where we can clear the camps and the stuff that you were saying, right? That program that you're saying that actually, and also get people into homes. I did want to ask about this, and Megan, I'd love your response. Something the governor said. He said if you build, basically he says it doesn't work. He says if you build 300 homes a day, 300 more will come. Housing, I've heard from a lot of people, especially on your side of this debate, you say housing, the lack thereof, is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
So for the governor to say that, is he wrong?
So, in Oklahoma as a state, we're around 85,000 units short for people who are extremely low income. That's a lot of units that we're short for housing. So I do take issue with his comment, that if we build 300, it won't make a difference, 300 more will come. The people are already there. The Oklahomans who need those units already exist in our communities. I would also say, I think that what we're dancing around, we've already found the common ground, right? We have already identified the common ground.
What is it?
No one should be living outside, right? No one wants to see people living outside. Again, our potential solutions may differ, but I think that if we can build on the idea that human beings should be living indoors, and if we can work collaboratively, that's when we're going to see the needle move on this issue in a productive way.
Senator, 30 seconds, and then we got to take a break.
Right. Well, again, it's not the solution. It's a great way to start. This is a problem. It's a huge problem. There's going to be a lot of answers to it. I think that we can work in parallel lines to ensure safety of citizens.
Are
and
you
help
open
those.
to bringing in more resources, though, and putting more money once these camps are cleared to help the people that you are displacing with that?
Well, I would like to see more churches get involved. I mean, I
Churches
really
are
do.
already doing a lot,
They're
though, aren't
doing
they?
a great.
Nonprofits
They're doing
are
a
doing a
great.
lot.
But we've got to get rid of that criminal element that they're the barrier, I believe, that is preventing all those dollars, all those resources, all this hard work from getting to the people that really need it. And we want to really help those people that want help.
Well, we're going to continue this conversation here. You can look for that online on KOCO.com as well as the KOCO YouTube page. But for now, we just want to say thank you so much, you three, for being here. We really appreciate the conversation. It's a big one, obviously, and much more needs to be said.
Thanks for having us.